Family will keep the background noise just a little bit to the minimum. No promises though. I hope you can hear us. Oh my god. Ice making. Sorry about being late, y'all. We went into town to stock up, get the last of the groceries we need to hunker down for winter. And when I got home, I started adding stuff, and then I had to find stuff. And I'm here now with Pix. Welcome to the AND podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-host Pix, and we are gonna have a fun Saturday talking about video games and our personal history with video games. We have everything from tabletop, which I went and I found this big guy.
Guess what?
Yeah,
So we, yeah.
huge D20. We got that after watching Wish Critical and his not Critical Role. I'm blanking on the name of his group, but they do a D&D stuff. And Greg seen them using that big die, and we got the little velvet thing that you roll it in. But yeah.
I'm a big guy that likes a big die.
Which critical is
um,
not critical role.
are you listening to the stream picks? Because it's coming through.
No, I'm trying to figure out.
Maybe it's me. Let me make sure, because I thought I had it muted here. Nope, it's muted here.
Oh, yeah, I just realized I have Sprint Safari. That is very interesting.
That's no
I am
problem.
so sorry. I did not realize that I had a browser.
Girl, you're fine. I was like, I was hearing my voice back, and I was like, I purposely mute that part. I was like, oh no, don't. But I want to say hi. It's no problem. Always to my lovely co-host Pigs. Brioche, thank you for sitting in. Nutty Niche, thank you for sitting in. We are going to be talking about not only the personal history we have with video games. Hi, Edna be lurking. We're gonna show different things from when we grew up to now that we're into, and hopefully you'll just enjoy us chilling. It's just gonna be two friends talking about our personal history with video games, and especially being women. You know, I'm not trying to pull the female card. We grew up in a time where girls were told video games were for little boys. Even now, I remember a time where Samus was the only female protagonist we had in video games. And if you were an early Metroid player, you didn't know it was a she until the end of the game. In Pokemon, which I've been playing since Gen 1, that's how old my ass is. You could only play as a kid that was a little boy up until about Gen 4, I believe. Maybe Gen 3, but I think it was Gen 4 where you got to pick a female gender. And it took all the way till Gen 6 where you could customize your character and have a person of color. Which I know some people go, well, that doesn't matter to me. Why does it matter if you can pick your gender or skin tone? And it's always a dude who's always been represented in said video games. I remember on Twitter when Gail Simone did that thing about video games, and all of us women were talking about how we still feel kind of underrepresented in even RPGs because customization kind of leaves us out. And the dude bro decided to try Gail freaking Simone by saying, well, I never judge a video game by whether or not it caters to me. And I jumped in. I was like, video games cater to you all the time. That is why you can say you don't care. For those of us who feel underrepresented, we're liking that more game companies recognize if you show us, we'll pay money. Yeah, we'll deal with everybody calling it woke, but we'll pay you the money to play your games if we have that representation. You know? I don't think it's a big ask, you know? But that's why I think with picks, you like things like Minecraft, because in Minecraft, none of that stuff really matters, right? You got the customization. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and like to go even further back, like for me, like gaming started even before consoles. Like for me, it started with my nanny and poppy teaching me card games. like when I was very little. And so I was playing, like, they taught me how to play canasta before I could even properly count. So like, I am horrible with poker. I don't do poker well. I don't like, so like my gaming experiences was always based on how I could interact with somebody else, but it was not like, I don't do well with MMORPGs. I don't like how other people can manipulate other interactions, and I don't understand the desire for pranking and the idea of like manipulating other people's experiences in a bad way. So we can get into that later on, but I love being able to, like, I like cooperative play, but only if it benefits others. That's why I like playing on very small servers for like Minecraft. Like, I play on a server that has max 6 people. And it has the potential of having 150, but there's 6 people. And I know the person because the person who owns the server, we met on a different server in 2014. And that was when I started playing. So my experience with Minecraft, like, I can go back and tell some more of the story, but specifically for Minecraft, in 2014, that was the 3rd worst year of my life. And I'm not going to go traumatic or anything like that, but just to go like really quickly, it was a very, very, very specific time. I was homeless at the time, and I was staying at a place that I had very little money, and somebody had said, get this game, it will help you. And I was able to clear out a bunch of my stock from a company that I had worked for, and I had a little bit of money, so I put money into that point PayPal, and I was able to live off of that for a little while. So I was a little bit better off, and then I was looking for a place, and I was in transition of a few different things. So as I was waiting, I was like, okay, I've got a little bit of money, and now I've got this. And, you know, somebody kept saying, just get Minecraft. And before, several years before, somebody that I was with was playing this game, and I had walked into the computer, said, what are you playing? And they had said, this game called Minecraft. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is this? And they were like, well, it's a game where you pick up blocks and you put them anywhere you want. Like, so you literally pick up a block and put it anywhere in the world. And they were like, yeah. And now when I go to tell somebody and they're like, so what is Minecraft? You can literally pick up a block and you can put it anywhere. You can put it anywhere.
Nice.
You
Hi,
can
Solomon.
do anything you want with it. Like, I can create things. I can make statues. I can make dwarven hammers. I can make sculptures. I have made Doctor Who, ginormous creatures. I have made zeppelins. I have made giant Nala statues. I have made houses. I have made axolotls. I have made great, huge houses. I have made pirate ships. I have made wonderful things. I have made presents that are inside of presents, inside of a cake that you blow up with TNT, and inside of that is a giant heart that says, I love you, and it's for a birthday present for somebody. And I've made this, and I've made that, and I've made, you know, all of these little things, and I make little presents for other people that I love, and I will like garden, and we all do our things, and like 1,000,005 different little things. And all you have to do is pick up one little block and you put it literally anywhere. And this game has literally saved my life, because without this game, I feel lost. And this game can give me oxygen, and it doesn't demand anything from me. except my creativity. And it is a complete blank canvas. It is the most wonderful and beautiful and open sandbox. And it gives me options. And if I want to play on peaceful mode, I can go into a solo flat earth world. Sorry, I shouldn't say flat earth. I can go into a flat plane and just create structures and do whatever I want there. Or I can go into like hardcore mode and just fight hardcore and like beasts and dragons and the warden and all of those. Or I can find like a happy medium, or I can play with my friends and we can just adventure days and days and days. And it just, there's a beautiful balance there. And there are frogs and there's armadillos and there are axolotls. There are just beautiful things. And camels now. It makes me happy. And
Yeah, I
it doesn't
mean,
matter. And there's bees and watching you. Yeah, and that was one of the ones that I made. And I literally messaged her before. Oh, hey, Hannah. Hey, everybody. I'm so sorry. I was, when it gets into Minecraft, like I literally messaged her ahead of time and I was like, it is literally like kittens and chocolate for me. Like if you offered kittens and chocolate right now, or my Google or my terabyte drive right now, to empty them onto her and just be like, here is all of my screenshots from 2014 of all of the things that I have taken a screenshot of. And it is, I have probably well over 8,000, and I am being very, very conservative with that number. Probably well over 8,000 screenshots of my Minecraft work. I would very easily just be like, and we are now spending the rest of the year just looking at my screenshots from Minecraft. And I'd just be like, and one, because it's Minecraft. So yeah, that was one picture. And like, I will take like 700 photos as I am building this thing. And inside of that is actually like, there's actually a structure inside of that so that the people that come to visit inside of that, there's actually a staircase that goes up, and then there's like a water, like an elevator inside the main little tiny shaft area that goes up, and there's actually a tavern that was inside of that. So yeah. And then inside the tavern, there's like a sleeping section, and then there was like a little storage section. So yeah, it's, when I make something, I put everything into it. So like that was about 2 weeks worth of work in like real lifetime. And I can escape into that, and at the same time,
it looks amazing too.
and I love it, and I absolutely love it. And there's a texture pack that I use, and I've been using all along, and it is the texture pack that I use is called John Smith Legacy. And very quickly, and then I promise I'll get off of this topic because I realized that I could go on very easily with it. When I first started playing in 2014, there was a Doctor Who one, and not like, I don't know if you all realize yet, but I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. So there was a Doctor Who texture pack, and it had actual sounds to go along with it. And I was still very, like, I was only a few months into this. So I didn't know all of the sounds of different characters, like the different entities, which are called mobs in the game. So I didn't even know that there were Endermen at that point. So I probably wasn't even like 2 months in yet. And I didn't know that there were Endermen yet. And the Endermen, they'd woof, 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 they'd make weird noises. So I didn't know that they existed yet. But I was used to zombies, and I didn't know that I was that close to a zombie spawner. So I was making a vault for myself because I was playing on a server that had other people. And long story short, the Doctor Who one, the sounds had Cybermen that just kept saying one plus. But because it was attached to the zombies, all it kept doing was it was like multiplying the sound. So it was like, and it was like this cacophony of them. And I was losing my mind because I didn't know what that was. And then all of a sudden I was hearing the whoop, 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 because I didn't know what the Enderman was. And then it was like all of this one of us. And I was losing my mind because I'm in my vault and nobody else other than the admins, who none of them were admins, were on. And I was like, they're going to get me. And I don't know what to do because I can't leave because they're going to kill me. So I was losing my mind. And I thought that I had broken the game and that I was going to be like kicked off the server. And I was going to be like, oh no, I've ruined the game for everybody. And I didn't even put it together that it was like the texture pack or the zombies or something else. And I was just like, I was crying and I was like losing my mind. This is me unmedicated, people. Okay, I'm now medicated, so I don't cry as easily. So they eventually were able to get, an admin online, and they were like, okay, first of all, remove that texture pack. And after that, I was like, okay, so no more texture packs with sound. So yeah, since then I've been a lot better, and everybody was like, okay, so what do you hear now? And I'm like, I hear a whoop, whoop, whoop thing still. And they were like, okay, that's an Enderman. And what do you hear as well? As like, whoa, okay, those are zombies. So other people were like, okay, we're going to take care of the zombies. We're going to take care of the Enderman. You can leave your vault. So long story short, don't play the texture pack of sounds all day. We're going to play Minecraft. Those are the other things. So there you go. Lesson 20.
And you can hear the love you have for the game. And it's like I said, video games can help people like deal with stressful times. When I was a kid, it really did give me comfort to have like when I was staying with my dad, I would get to play his Atari. So I got started early on with things like Pong, Donkey Kong, and then we would get to go to the arcade when we were with him because my mom's side of the family didn't believe girls played video games. They didn't think it was good for girls to play video games, and some of them thought video games were kind of evil. So when we had time with my dad, he would take us to a place in Coney Island that had an arcade and give us a bunch of quarters while he went and did business and stuff, and I would play for hours. So things like Super Mario, I got to experience that in the arcade first. And then my mom, in the Streak of Defiance, got us our first NES. And I had that NES up until 2019 when it disappeared for whatever reason. But I have been playing The Legend of Zelda since the early 80s. Well, technically late 80s because it came out in 87. She did a whole thing during Black Friday back then because there was a market that she worked near and she stood in line. Not only did she get the NES, but that gold Legend of Zelda cartridge. And back then, that shit was pricey. But she wanted us to have it. So me and my sisters, we had that. We had Super Mario Brothers. And then the next year, we got the game mat and the light gun with Duck Hunt. And when I tell you, I still, from the younger me to the older me, hate that fucking dog from Duck Hunt. Like, visually cannot stand that mocking little mutt. And I love dogs. But if you've ever played Duck Hunt, you know what I'm talking about. He is just rude. I've went from regular consoles to I've got my Zelda-based Joy-Cons for Switch. I've got my Switch case. After 30 freaking years, we finally are able to play as Zelda. So I went and I got Echoes of Wisdom. Well, I think that's Breath of the Wild. So that's more of what Echoes of Wisdom looks like. I've played just about every Zelda game, and I own every Zelda game. Like, what I like about the Switch currently is that you can play a lot of the older games. I gotta charge this. It's telling me that my console battery is dead. But, like, when you can dock it, hook it up to the TV, and as you can see, I've got my Hyrule stuff and my kitty paws. Because I like cats. I like dogs, too, but I definitely love my cats. And the thing is, video games are getting me through a lot of stuff. And they have been since I was a kid. I think it's okay to have something that lets you just get away from a lot of stressful things. And a lot of people don't realize that games normally don't discriminate against income unless you have to save up to buy a console or something. There are a lot of free games out there. There are a lot of mobile games out there now. Video games, just like for me, reading and music, are just safe escapes. Because sometimes people escape in other ways that aren't safe for them. But when you have something that can pull you in, like a good video game, it's like a magic to it. And while I know we're going to talk about your experience with MMOs, I have a completely polar opposite because of the way I did. So we'll definitely get into that. But I noticed you sent me some things about, oh no, there we go. You sent me some things about, let me get the slideshow down, there we go. E.T., which almost legitimately busted the video game industry because they rushed it out. And the game, go ahead.
I will say, start at the 44-second part, because otherwise it's going to be like you're going to have to listen to the guy talking. So, yeah, if you start at the 44-second moment, then it'll actually just start the gameplay. So, yeah, and what I'll if you want, I can explain. Yeah, like this guy starts to go through the whole thing. Like this almost really did break the entire gaming industry completely. It was wild, and this was Atari 2600, and it was the first color game that I ever played. It was my neighbors across the street, and they brought me over, and I played, and I died a lot, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy. So, and I had like no idea what was going on top. Absolutely no freaking idea. But I had already been playing on the school computer. I had been playing a game called Logo, which I sent you the link for that one as well. And BC's Quest for Tires was after that as well. And up until that point, BC's Quest for Tires, that was the only female kind of that you actually get to see. I actually sent you the full thing if you want to quietly play that in the background. But oh my God, you want to hear trauma sounds that, like, good trauma sounds, but they are still like triggering sounds because I actually played the entire thing in my head. Like I actually played it all the way through, and like literally every single sound took me right back, and I know exactly what classroom I was sitting in every single time that I played that game. It was insane. But yeah. And then King's Quest.
Yeah. And see, for me with this, while I don't remember a lot about this game because the moment I seen it, I didn't want no part of it. I was a big E.T. fan. Oops. Like, I went to the movies when I was a little girl with my parents, and they made fun of me because I cried like a baby towards the end of the movie because I wanted E.T. to come back. I found him just so adorable. And when I see this video game, I was like, what is this? Where's the town? Where's the kids? Where's the Reese's Pieces? I was like, this is not E.T., so Young Tim wanted no parts of this video game. I was like, no, you have it.
Oh, come on.
But my experience with more colorful games was the Oregon Trail on our school PCs. I got dysentery so many freaking times.
Let's go this way.
You have died of dysentery.
Yes.
Actually, that would be really fun because they actually do have those emulators. It would be so much fun to actually play these with you some point on these. We should actually sit down and play some emulators on just play through a bunch for Ant.
I agree. That would be a lot of fun. Because it's like I said, we've both been playing for so long. I mean, there is like a whole bunch of stuff. But when I say that ET itself was really ass and it really nearly tanked the whole video game industry, people didn't think the video game industry was going to recover. Atari was the
No.
biggest name back then. You knew them for Pong. You knew them for Donkey Kong. You knew them for why am I blanking at that role play game that you were singular. You could pick a knight, a mage, or anybody just go through dungeons. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I know Dungeons is in the name. I think it was Dungeon Quest, and we literally were pulled in by Atari, and then they got too big. A lot of things in the 80s with the mass consumerism is they got really big. They partnered in and they rushed this, and it was garbage. Like E.T. was literally garbage. Yeah, Ultima was good too, Solomon. And Ultima before it became Ultima Online. So it was like everybody was predicting that video game crash wouldn't recoup, and Nintendo swooped in and was like, allow us to introduce ourselves. We started out a game machine company with like pachinko machines and stuff in Japan, but we have the tech, we have the mascot. Mario launched them into the global stratosphere, and I gotta give them their props. But for me, the thing that made me a Nintendo girl for life is the Legend of Zelda series. And people can say what they want. I don't always agree with Nintendo's practices. I think they make it really hard for streamers to enjoy streaming their games. And they tried to do that antitrust bullshit and go after cosplayers and make people pay for even showing their stuff. And the leaks that have been coming out have been crazy too. But the thing is, when I play a Nintendo game, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting familiarity. I'm getting comfort. They could do a bit more cutting edge, and I agree with all the critics that say that, especially with Pokemon, because it's kind of the same formula over and over, but I don't think people realize that they make the money because people want that familiarity. When they try to change it up too much, they see in the metrics that shit don't work for them. Why do you think we're up to like Madden 50 and shit? People want the same thing with better graphics. And all the naysayers and detractors who say they don't, you got your Souls games. There's a game for everybody. A fucking game. Even my mom, who is very older now, still plays her mobile games. Still plays her Pop It gem games and Candy Crush and shit. There is literally a game for every generation now. And there are still some people that are anti-games. Oh, they brought your brain. Oh, you won't be a thinker. Some of the best critical thinkers I know out there, some of the most creative people I know out there are gamers. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at Solomon Isles. Games help you foster your imagination if you find the game for you. Whether you're creating things visually. Yeah.
Bridge is a game. Canasta is a game. Poker is a game.
Yeah.
And Manacula is a game. Yeah. Dominoes is a game.
Exactly. I had a funny anecdote about that because you said that your grandparents taught you card play. So did mine, but they did teach me poker. My first paycheck, because I was a counselor back then, I got big in my bridges because I have a poker face. I can smile, but I tend to be flat-faced when I'm in my head. So they said, you will be good at poker. So they taught me. But as a learner, you're not going to win your first hand. I lost my first fucking paycheck to my grandparents. And when I asked them, could I have that money back? They laughed. They kept my paycheck. I remember because back then, I had made $71 for 2 weeks of taking kids to parks, taking them swimming, because I was a certified CPR person, so we could take them to the pool. And I was a junior camp counselor then. So I did all the grunt work, like clean up and making sure the kids were accounted for and keeping them in line as we walked them to the park and back, because this was in the city. So we had to make sure they crossed properly. We had to keep them all together. And that was going there to the pool. Urban camping is a lot different from being out in the wilderness. We had the kids for a couple of hours each day. We fed them. It was like daycare, basically. So when I say I earned that first paycheck, I earned it. Because little kids from my neighborhood were wild. But they stayed in line. We taught them crafting. We taught them how to do fun stuff. to keep them occupied during the day, and we watch movies with them. So I was happy to get that paycheck, and I let my grandma, especially, and I love her to death, but she talked me into that poker game, and it taught me gamble at your own risk. Because even your family will take that first money from you. And I learned after that, no more gambling for 10 like that. Yeah. But even those kind of games, I still can play a poker game. When I got older, my sister was dating this guy who was like, women aren't good at card games. And my sister just smirked. And I got home from work, and she was like, 10. My man doesn't think that women are good at card games. And I was like, okay, deal me in. And he talked a lot of shit. And she was like, she sat back. And we played a couple of hands. And he was like, I can't read you. I was like, why do you need to read me? I bluffed the fuck out. He played for my lunch for 2 fucking weeks. Because I have a good poker face. Even if I have a shitty hand, I can make people fold. I can just raise an eyebrow and like, you sure about that? Totally bluffed them out of their freaking money. Because poker is strategy. And I love strategy. You know? So I love stuff like that. And I see that you had the evolution of King's Quest games. So we're going to bop this up really quick. Because I've played a King's Quest game back in the day on the computer. It had that Jackalope. I remember that character more than anything else. I know you got to play like as a princess. But I remember the Jackalope more than anything else. Oh, this is really old school.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's very loud, so you might want to, you might want to mute it completely because it is very loud.
That's no problem then. It's like I said, these kind of graphics, we literally grew up on this. People laugh at it now, but I still love 8-bit games. I can go back at any time and play the original Legend of Zelda and just feel like I'm in my fields. I would get my homework done. I would show my grandma or my mom that I got it done. It was like, okay, what do you want to do? I want to go play my NES. And because I got my work done, no problem letting me sit there. And I got about 2 hours each night where I could play. You know, it was lovely. And I love stuff like this because not only are you interacting, but you can read.
I spent so much time in Paint on my MS Paint. Oh my God, that's what it looks like. It's just MS Paint. That's seriously.
Yeah. And like I said, I love stuff like this because a lot of games tell a story. One of the things that I said about Legend of Zelda and why I love it so much was when you think about the Kingdom of Hyrule and you think about how he's looking for pieces of the Triforce, and you're going into all these dungeons, and on the first time, you don't know what you're doing. You're just aimlessly wandering around as this hero who gets a sword from a man in the cave, and you're finding treasures, and you're unlocking puzzles, and it was just manna for my brain. I loved it as a kid. And the thing that I liked is when you paid attention, you could see what the story was. The princess is kidnapped. There's an evil power trying to get control of the world, and the only thing stopping it is you with the sword and the pieces of the Triforce that you can get and utilize against them. And even that end fight against Ganon was a pain. Because if you didn't get a specific type of weapon with other weapons that could not make him invisible, you were going to get roll stomped. I love that game. It was challenging. It is still fun because of the puzzles and everything else. So when I say that I am definitely an RPG girl, I mean that to my heart. I love stuff like this.
Yeah. And that also leads me into my next point about Dungeons and Dragons, which is there are like 3 main parts about Dungeons and Dragons. There is the paper, there is the role playing, and then there's the online. So the paper part, for anybody who isn't aware what Dungeons and Dragons is, this started around when I was hatched, and that's from the 74 year. And this was a concept of like-minded individuals wanting to get together to tell a story of like dragons, and they wanted to share their thoughts about wizards and tell their kind of like Tolkien-esque versions of, you know, what would it be like if we could all get together and have our own version of, why don't we get to fight the dragon? Why don't we get to fight the hobgoblins? Why don't we get to fight, you know, these other creatures? And why don't we get to name what these other creatures are? I'm going to show them what this is, honey. You know what I'm reaching for. So this is, I'm not going to open it, but I'm going to, hold on a second. I have to go here. So this is a beholder.
I love it. Yes. One of the things I joke around is I hate No, you're okay. I hate Jaraxel. He's from the Drit series because in the online game, A Dungeons and Dragons, not the one that I currently play, but the one that I play on console every once in a while, Neverwinter Nights, you get a quest from Jaraxel, and it's a solo quest. And you're thinking, okay, I just have to retrieve this box. You have to retrieve the box from a literal beholder. And that beholder will whip your tail if you're not prepared. My ranger went in there like, oh my god, I did not sign up for this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually beat this. Oh my gosh, I got the box. Fuck you, Jaraxel. Why did you send me on this?
Exactly.
Yes.
So Dungeons and Dragons is, like I said, it's a threefold thing. It's a paper story that you create, and there's stats that you write down. We're gonna break it down at some point because I know that we're gonna end up gaming at some point. There are two main different positions that you play. You're either the game master, dungeon master, depends on your title, but there's game master or the dungeon master, okay? And then there are the players. And the players themselves play characters. And the dungeon master / game master takes on the role of the NPCs, which are the non-player characters. So they're the ones that are interacting, like the tavern keepers, the shopkeepers, the people that you interact with, like the traveling salespeople, the ones that, you know, like the beggars on the streets, that kind of thing, the king, the queen, whatever, whoever it is that you're coming along. And then the heroes or whatever that you're coming along, and you're the ones that are doing the actual quest. They're the ones that are actually role playing. So as you're going along, you are doing certain quests and you need to roll and you need to do certain things. So there are certain things that you need to roll, and there are special die that you need. And they are all different sizes. So there's
the D6, D10, the 8, D20,
yeah.
I believe. I believe there's a D12 too. I have a whole bag of them in the other room. Yep.
And I am this much of a nerd that I even crocheted my own.
I used to use a Crown Royal bag. My family owned a liquor store, so it was easy to get them, and they were the purple drawer bags with the gold ties, and I would just fill them with D&D dice.
So I even made myself my own
pouches
coin.
Like this too.
So I have a coin. Yeah. So I've got like heads or tails. I've got a.
We don't have.
So I've got a.
Wait,
3.
Yes, we do. Oh, that's Mega Man. All my D&D minifigs are in the bedroom. I should have brought some in here.
4. So you've got a 2-sided. You've got 3. You've got a 4. You've got. Yeah, you got 2, 3, 4. You do have a 5. You do have a 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. This one is, that one's 100. Because it goes up to, because they're showing like zeros.
Oh, thank you.
So there's 100.
Yeah, he brought them in.
Most of the time you're using a D20 or a D12 or a D10.
I love her.
There is a website called Roll20.
Yeah.
And it's kind of glitchy, but it's not as bad as it was like even 5 years ago. They are getting progressively better, and they're always improving, and they are open to taking. They do have
feedback. Yeah,
newcomers. You can always find a new group to play with, and they will take newcomers, and they play a bunch of different ones. It's not just Dungeons and Dragons, so there are a lot of different groups that do role playing, and it is open to role playing different things. So, as an example, there is Dungeons and Dragons, but there's also ones like Vampire the Masquerade,
which I used to be a part of too.
And the one that I was a part of also was World of Darkness. And I actually played an Ursine. I actually played one from Northern Canada, and I was a polar bear. And she was. Yeah, I actually ended up writing my character into a novel. That's how badass she is.
That
so
is awesome.
Like, oh, she's so cool. So yeah, you're gonna.
I was trying to, but I can't seem to get the image thing to.
There's a Canadian group that I absolutely love, and I support them. And they, you have to go through their Patreon to get their. Okay. But they are the Dungeon Dude.
I don't know what happened to her. Give me just a moment, y'all. OBS booted us out for just a second, but we will get this right back up. There we go. Sorry, Pix. I gotta shrink you down there.
No.
And we are back. That's the thing. This is why I like to try to get started earlier normally, but it's going to be one of them days, and thank y'all for bearing with us. And it's like I said, with the whole idea of Dungeons & Dragons, I know that as older as we are, we grew up in the time where there was that weird panic time where people blamed D&D for a person unaliving themselves in the steam tunnels, and you kind of find out that that young man had already had issues that had nothing to do with D&D. They did that movie with Tom Hanks. So my family being both split between military people and ultra religious people, D&D was unheard of for them. So my role play background didn't start till I left New York to go to Florida for school, and I got in with friends that did tabletop D&D. So I learned how to fill out a character sheet, do my attributes. I always liked spellcaster, so I had my mage Kalari, and then I had my cleric Kamari, her sister, and I got to play those two kind of classes like exclusively. And it was fun because it wasn't just combat. You really did get to interact with the people across the table from you, and you got to pretty much use your imagination for the settings that the DM gave you. And we had a friend that had a little card and game and board shop that had a back room that we could use on Friday nights. And we would get our dinner, bring it in because it was a long series of tables. And I had a laptop back then because of my job. And I was able to bring the laptop because I could put the Dungeon Master's handbook on there for him. I could upload little notes that we needed to keep track of the game. And we played that consistently for almost 6 years. And it was different games, everything from Planescape to Ravenloft. It was so much fun, and it
My.
led me into more computer games because one of our dungeon masters, Ron, uh, uh, he I think he's out in Colorado now. He would sit around and brainstorm for his mud game. And I know a lot of people probably have never played a mud, no, don't know what Mush Client is. It is literally a text based video game where you literally have to use your imagination. He created Dragon's Era. And it was just like D&D. You picked from several known character classes, but you went in and you typed in the world in character. You had to stay in character or you risk being put in a timeout, and if you did too much, you got locked. That character got completely locked out of the game world, and you're in like this mental asylum, which he, after a while, fixed up because of my own personal issues with that. So I appreciated that from him. But it was such. There's still a Facebook group of those of us who used to play that game religiously. And one of my best characters in Dragon's Era was my Ranger Kahira. Dark Elf, adhered to the drow code. Every non-drow was beneath them. I rarely interacted with non-drow. I didn't even want clerics to heal my wounds. I would just patch them up myself. In raids, I had this bow that could do stunning. And for a lot of people, you think, well, it's a text base, but it also had a mechanic where you could do combat. So with that stun bow, the anything I hit it with in like a headshot or a neck shot was stun. When something's stunned, it's easily critted. So we would take my ranger into like horde stuff because he would throw hordes at us. Or sometimes even if you're in town, he would do an event and you get 8-bit music playing and you get swords and just hordes of monsters attacking the town square. And you could
Yeah.
literally stun them and people could take them down easier. And then you would get a treasure chest. And so uh, Axiom would play a rogue, and he would make bank because he could pick the chest for us. Because a lot of times those chests were locked, and you would get things like pelts and gems and stuff, potions and stuff, or imbue stones that you could put magic in for people who don't have magic and can use. And my naivete when I first started the game, my mage Kalari could sleep people. Well, actually, she was Cersei in that game. She could sleep people. So I had a friend that was a rogue and another friend that played a kobold who was kind of a roguish mage. And they would take me along with them, and I would either freeze people or sleep people for them because they could pickpocket them. And then I'm thinking, I got friends. And they used my magic talents to pickpocket people in the game. And even my behind got thrown in jail a couple of times for being rowdy in town square. It was just magical. And it was because he loved D&D so much and he loved coding even more that Ron brought us Dragon's Era, and he kept that game going for almost a decade. Then things kind of fall off the wayside. I moved away for my personal reasons and stuff, and he tried like 2 years ago to bring the game back, but he just couldn't find a stable enough server for it to work out. But a lot of us was jonesing for it. Like a lot of us old heads came back when he said he had the game ready for us, and we wanted it to work, but unfortunately he couldn't make it work. And that's sad because even though it's not visual, I still think text-based D&D even is fun for me. I like it text-based, I like it tabletop, and I like digital, you know? Oh, I had so much fun, Brioche. I am telling you, we ran around just either holding people up, freezing people, raiding dungeons. It was so much fun. And I didn't, like, I played an elf. I didn't care about kobolds being beneath me as an elf. As a drow, I did. But as an elf, everybody was my friend. I made money imbuing stuff. I made money doing protection spells. And I made money freezing stuff for the rogues and the kobolds that wanted to run with me. And it was a freaking good time. I had so much fun in Dragon's Era. And when Ambam, the series launches, we took a lot of those stories and incorporated it because a lot of the characters that we use it for our Merry Band of Misfits come from Dragon's Era. You're going to see Cersei, you're going to see Kahira, you're going to see May and Kaze and Felern, and all of those characters were people we actually played. I had a whole drow family, the Amastasia clan. They were tight knit, but they were pure grade zealots. So when Kahira decided to start going out with May, a half elf, it caused ripples. I had a zealot elder named Scrain that was completely against our relationship. He was going to declare war on the town because I dared step out of the path of dating somebody that wasn't a drow. It was such a good storyline. And Ron was just amazed at what his players came up with to keep us logging on each time. And we were the first drow non-drow couple, and then others came out because there was another one that was more secretive. Everybody thought no, they were just friends because drows weren't technically supposed to date non-drows in Dragon's Era. And after we publicly declared we don't care about any of that stuff, more mixed couples were able to be in the game, and it was so much fun. And that drow zealot war story arc, people still remember it. People still remember the clan of drows that were the Amastasia clan because there was like 14 different players playing a member of that family. We had my ex playing the father of the family, which was weird, but I let it go. Another friend of ours played his wife. I was their eldest daughter. We had my uncle Saratus, played by Doug, who gave me one of the best D&D experiences. Our tabletop group were a lot of people that played Dragon's Era 2, and Johnny, who likes to play fighters, was just always getting on Doug's nerves. So me and Doug were the two mages of the game in the tabletop group, and he said, "Tin, I got a plan. I'm gonna get Johnny." I was like, "No, don't do it. You know he's sensitive." He goes, "No, I got to do this. You gotta find it funny." He cast Grease, and then he cast Dance. And every time Johnny rolled, he critically failed. So he would slip, and then he would get up and dance, and Doug would go, "Dance like a baby!" And the whole table just erupted with laughter. Because Johnny could not roll to get out of the grease, could not roll to stop dancing, and Doug would just, nothing else. "Dance like a baby!" Oh my God, we were fucking tears in our eyes laughing. So being able to cross over from tabletop to a computer game and go back and forth with ideas, those were some of the best times in my life. You know, coming from New York where I felt like I had to fight all the time, I had short girl rage, to just being able to channel that into actual creative energy, I think it saved me. I'm not saying I'm not a ball of rage all the time, and I'm definitely still short, but being able to do fun shit like that calmed my ass down a lot. I embraced my nerd. I embraced doing things my way because of D&D. I still play D&D every Sunday. Faithfully, 2 o'clock to about 5 or 7 o'clock. You see me in Discord, I'm not talking because I'm in my group. I've been with Lost Legions, the guild, since 2011. I've been playing DDO online since 2007, and I didn't like MMORPGs at first. I liked RPGs, but my first MMO experience was World of Warcraft, and I did not enjoy it. I did not find it fun, so I just didn't want. And I don't say that if you love WoW that it just wasn't for me. So when I first got Dungeons and Dragons Online and saw it was an MMO, I was like, I bought this. I thought it was just gonna be a standalone game. I put it. Hey, Savage Vegas baby, good to see you, dear. I put it in my closet. I forgot about it for a couple of months, and that was after I just had my son. So it's 2005. It was a newer game. I didn't think about it. Late 2006, I was in the closet putting away kiddo's Christmas gifts because it was going to be special. He was going to be about 1 year old, so technically his real first Christmas. And the game bonked me on the head. And I was like, oh, I forgot I bought this. Let me install it and see what's up, because it might not be bad. And it needed a credit card. I put that in. I created my account, and I seen the customization. Being able to make an elf with my skin tone was unheard of before. And this was back in 2006. I was able to make an elf that looked just the way I wanted her. And Kalari was born. From pen and paper to this game. I made her a mage. I made mistakes with her stats. because I gave her a high charisma and intelligence, and I said, fuck everything else. And I got through the tutorial, almost died to a kobold, but then I went wandering around the game because I didn't know anybody and I didn't really want to talk to anybody as an introvert. And I went into the waterworks, and a fucking slime killed me. I was just so heated because even though you didn't die completely in the game and you were a soul stone, you lost experience points back then for every death. And they eventually phased that out because people were fed up with that. But a guild found me, seeing that I was struggling, had me join their group, and from there I just went on. And not even a few years later, I found my forever guild in Lost Legions, and it's just been great. We now can reincarnate, and past lives count to your new lives. So I've gone from mage lives to now melee lives right now. I've done rogue and monk lives. I'm doing a fighter, which is amazing because she can still cast spells. I've got paladin lives and other lives to get through too, so I can be a completionist. And then I can move on to another character if I want and just have a girl that's completely raid ready. We have Reaper mode now, which is a really hard mode. The dungeon is literally out to kill you. And we just play in our nice static group every Sunday where we can be in character or out of character. We can talk real life or just talk about geek stuff. And I normally stream it on Twitch. And I want to try to get back to that. But since switching to this computer from my personal computer, I haven't figured out how to get it to show. So instead of getting frustrated, I just play with the guys now. It has been so much fun, and we have so much stories. Back when I was younger and Kiddo was younger, we did an all-night game where it was 24 hours of just doing every dungeon in the game. I don't know what we were thinking. I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, so I thought I had energy. And one of our guildmates fell asleep at his desk, and his wife got on the microphone and said, Mike fell asleep. I'm shutting down his computer. You have fun. And we just found that hysterical. And we went till sun up. And I never did that again because sleep is my best friend. But I've yabbered on. And I see that you had the Baldur's Gate thing on, so I'm going to bop that back. But I wanted you to know, Pix, I understand your aversion. But with games like Dungeons and Dragons and even games like Neverwinter, there is a lot more grouping with benefits than there is PvP. They have those zones, but they're marked so that you don't have to go into them. And with DDO, for me, it has been a fun experience going into open areas, wilderness areas, and dungeons with my static group. So I would recommend it to anybody.
I will say that, like, I have tried out MMOs, yeah. And the person who had Minecraft originally, they had WoW. And their cousin was actually one of the ones that wasn't in the actual group at the time, but was actually in the group, in the guild that Leroy Jenkins was actually in.
Oh my God, yes. So, I love that video.
Yeah, so he was actually a part of that guild. So I actually know somebody who knows Leroy Jenkins. So, yeah.
And people, that wasn't fake. Sorry to interrupt you, Pix, but I know a lot of people still think that was staged, kind of like that one guy make a video where he's trying to like instruct people. No, that really happened in WoW, and it is still legendary gamer history.
Yeah, and to explain to the people that don't know what actually happened, Leroy got in a lot of shit. But that wasn't the first time that he had done something like that. Leroy had a problem where he would just dive into something and he would go. His favorite thing to do would be he would go and put like a pizza in the oven, or he would order a pizza or go take a very long time in the bathroom or do something. And he knew that the party was getting ready to do a raid, and they had been planning this for days. And they would be coordinating the efforts and everything would be going great. And he would be like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help. And he was one of the tanks. And he knew that his efforts were necessary because he had one of the best tanks in the team. So he knew that he was a vital asset to the team. So the team always wanted him around for that purpose. He also knew that he could fuck around and find out because of the fact that he was one of the heavy hitters for the team. This was a routine thing. It just so happened that one of them was recording that. And this was very early on in their recording sessions. This is very early on in YouTube for everybody that's wondering. Like very early in YouTube history. Like YouTube started because the people who wanted YouTube wanted a history of why Janet Jackson went viral at the Super Bowl. Like they wanted a reason for that. Like, because nobody had, like, why was this such a viral thing? Like, why didn't everybody have access to this? Like, why weren't we all able to replay this like a million times kind of thing? So Leroy was always constantly doing this. And my ex, their cousin, was constantly telling us that Leroy's favorite thing to do was announce himself, and was always announcing himself that way. Always screaming Leroy Jenkins, yelling that. And this just so happened to be just a typical day of him doing this. And this was him just being him. The problem was he decided to fuck around and find out, and it was recorded this time. And after this, the cousin stuck around for about 3 more weeks and was like, I'm fucking done. Like, people were like, oh, I want to join the guild. Oh, I want to join the guild. This is great. This is wonderful. No, like, he literally was like, I cannot stand this fucking asshole. He's just, it was funny from this side, but in the group, there was so much dissension and so much controversy that he brought that it's funny now, but back in 2005 when he was doing this, like, he had been doing this since WoW started. Like, he was with the group from pretty much the inception of, like, the guilds. And he joined the group very early on. And the cousin had already been in the, like, the cousin was one of the higher ups in the offices in that guild. And he left.
Trust me, I understand, like, guild drama. I'm an officer right now, too. It was so fucking
mad. It was just crazy, and Leroy was just a dick. And it was just like, just so everybody understands, like, this was not a first time thing, and it was like, yeah. So like that, from somebody who actually like knew the other side of the Leroy Jenkins thing, it wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time, and it happened like 9 or 10 times after that, and then the cousin was just like, you know what? You're never going to change. You're never going to change.
Yeah. Well, we got the video here.
Yes, please play it.
I've definitely got to play it because, like I said, people need to see how raids are in some of these games, because we do big raids on Saturdays sometimes. I don't play right now because I'm trying to mitigate time between writing this stuff. But I can tell you, raids are serious, taken serious by guilds. And if you mess up the spot, it's going to be heated.
Okay, guys. These eggs have given us a lot of trouble in the past. Does anybody need anything off this guy, or can we bypass him?
I think Leroy needs something from this guy.
Oh, he needs those devout shoulders? Isn't he a paladin?
Yeah, but that'll help him heal better, have more mana.
Christ. Okay, well, what we'll do, I'll run in first, gather up all the eggs so we can kind of just, blast them all down with AoE. I will use Intimidating Shout to kind of scatter them so we don't have to fight a whole bunch of them at once. When my shout's done, I'll need Anthony to come in and drop his shout too. So we can keep them scattered and not fight too many. When his is done, Bass, of course, need to run in and do the same thing. We're going to need Divine Intervention on our mages so they can AE, so we can, of course, get them down fast because we're bringing all these guys. I mean, we'll be in trouble if we don't take them down quick. I think it's a pretty good plan. We should go pull it off this time. What do you think, Abdul? Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33 repeating force percentage of survival.
Area effect healing,
that's a lot better than we usually do. Ready, guys?
Leroy Jenkins! Oh my god, he just ran in. Save him!
Oh, gee, stick to the plane.
Oh, Jesus. Let's go.
Stick to the plan, Shove.
Stick to the plane.
Oh, gee. Oh, fuck.
Give me my intervention.
Hurry up.
Shout. He's saying I can't cast. I can't move. Am I lagging, guys? I can't move.
What the hell?
I can't AE.
Oh my god.
Oh, just keep saying that. More responding.
I don't think you can cast with that shit.
Oh my god. Shout.
I got it.
Pick it up.
Come on, down.
Oh my god.
God damn it, Leroy.
God damn it.
Leroy, you moron. Leroy. This is ridiculous.
I'm mass. I'm down. I'm down. God damn it.
We've got all this. God. Oh, Spiffy, res us.
Why do you do this shit, Leroy?
I'm trying.
It's not my fault.
Who's soul stoned?
We do have a soul stone up, don't we?
Hey, you got soul stones?
Warlock.
Oh god.
Oh, for...
Great job. For Christ's sake. Leroy, you were just stupid as hell.
Over there.
At least I have chicken.
That's the part that took me out. At least I got chicken. What the fuck, dude? No. And they didn't hold back. Yes, they did. They did not hold back, calling him an idiot and everything. So they welcome back Solomon. They knew, and I think every guild has somebody that is Leroy like. I love our friend Alice. He had some of the best, weirdest stories, including putting on somebody else's pants because he got like really drunk. But he was the type that when we were trying to control a bunch of mobs, would run in singing the song, pick of the fight, pick of the fight. He didn't care. He didn't care if we got overrun. When he was in fight mode, he would sing that song. It's like, oh my God, Alex, please stop. Now we have Yogi, or he's a Canadian, I love him. If you tell Yogi to not do something, Yogi does what you tell him not to do. We have a hardcore server that comes out every once in a while where it is permadeath. And the goal is to get to level 20 and get certain thresholds so that you could get prizes that you can't get on the main server. Anything from like cosmetics and everything else. And I made the mistake of going in with two of my friends, one of them being Yogi, in this really dangerous dungeon that could have completely destroyed our faces. And for some reason, Yogi did not listen to my other friend Clue when we said, there's a bunch of slots in this room. Don't go running in. Yogi only heard running in. He somehow survived too. We all survived because we weren't in panic mode. My adrenaline was going. I was like, my bard, because I was playing the bard, just went into, I'm going to try to keep everything still. Because I had a song that could keep them just in place swaying. And it worked. And he got so lucky. He was like, come on, guys, what was so bad? It was like, we're all close to level 20. We're all close to getting our cosmetics. Why did you do that? It was fun. Yogi, why? And he'll laugh about this now. The amount of adrenaline that I felt, because I did not want to die. I was so close to my cosmetics, my free pet, everything that I move over to the main server. And he ran right into that room. And these are like big slots. We had the red, the greens, the blues. And those motherfuckers hit hard. And we didn't have all the gear that we had on the main server. And hardcore is whatever you get as you go along. So I was just praying that my songs would even affect these things. And for some reason, we had luck on our side that day. It was so fucking funny. Now that I'm not in it. But at the moment, I was just like, Yogi, you are so lucky that we did this. Because if we had died, I would have cussed you out forever. Hardcore server on DDO is no joke if you play it the way. Because some people, they know how to game the system. They'll buy stuff to make it easier for them. But if you're playing that server the way it's intended, you're putting your life on the line going in on elite or higher. And we went in on elite because we wanted more points and more rewards. And when I say I got gray hairs that day from that run. Because he just completely said, F y'all, I'm going to do me. And ran right in. And after that, I took a break. I was like, we survived. I ain't risking my luck anymore after that. I'm going to go relax my nerves. Y'all have fun. And then found out that he ended up blowing our guild master and a few other people up on another quest that had explosives that I refused to do. On hardcore, you do not do quests that have bombs. That is a good way to get your party killed. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
There is something I also want to point out to everybody that is still watching here, and it's the fact that Steam, you can play games on Steam for free. There are free-to-play ones, and there are also free playable games on YouTube. So if you're looking for games that you want to be distracted for like in the moment, or if you just need to deprogram your brain for a moment or de-stress, you don't have to download anything on the YouTube games. And I can actually show everybody a second page. Okay, so when you are on your laptop or your computer, like your regular screen, when you are looking at your screen, you're going to see the regular picture of like your playable option, and then on the left-hand side, you're going to see home short subscriptions, and then history playlists, that kind of thing. And then as you scroll down on the left-hand side, you're going to see explore, trending, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to see podcasts and then playables. And then if you click on playables, you're going to see like this massive list of options of games that you're going to be like completely stunned. They've got things like thinking ones, like Tropical Merge is simulation. They've got brain ones. They've got ones that are action ones. They've got little kicking games. They've got all different kinds of games. They've got ones that are for like mahjong. They have racing games. They have stuff for time games. They have all different sorts of games. So whatever it is that your brain needs to deprogram from the moment is great. Do not have to download anything. They are not paid apps. There is nothing that you have to put in. There is no personal information that you have to share. The really cool thing is, all of these are paid apps on other app sources. Every single one of these you would have to pay for on Google Apps or Apple Pay or somewhere else. You literally, if you are going to do it on your tablet or your iPad or whatever, you cannot play these on your tablet, because you have to go to the actual like Apple or your Android app, whatever it is, and then you'd have to actually install the actual app itself. But on your phone, you can go in on the YouTube and you can actually play it from your phone on YouTube. Or you can play it directly from your computer/laptop. So you can do that for free. There are differences in the games because obviously you aren't going to be buying anything, so you're not going to be getting the same upgrades and stuff like that. So there are differences, but you are going to be getting like a massive change because you're not competing. So the bonus is no personal information. They cannot collect any personal data. and you're not putting a cent into it at all, and you do not lose any bandwidth because you're not putting anything into it, and you're not losing any hard drive space either. So you can take it anywhere, and yeah, that's the really cool thing. And you can play them offline. The only thing is it will not save your progress. Okay. So if you are going to do it offline, the next time that you load it up, it's not going to save that progress for you. So that's the only thing. But there are really, really cool games on there. And yes, they get very addictive. So be prepared that you will probably lose a lot of time on but yeah, it is very, very handy to disconnect your brain and play these games, especially right now when you might need to disconnect your brain from reality for a little while. Yeah. But like even little things like that, like there's like I said, mahjong. There are asteroids. There are all different kinds. Like there's basketball and there's chess and color matching and solitaire and crossword and all different kinds. Like I said, like there's so many different types. There is something for every single person. Like there are stuff for kids. There is stuff for adults. There is everything that you could possibly want to find. There's at least one game for everybody.
Nice.
So
yeah. Well, that's what
dive into it, at it, and it, like there's something there for you. Just have a look through them, and then like I know that I enjoy them because I at any given time I'm literally playing a game, and I am not watching videos anymore. I'm just like listening to Bob's Burgers. I'm like, I always have Bob's Burgers in the background, and I'm playing a game. Yeah. That's like,
well,
that's the reality.
Like I said, video games have gotten us through good times and bad. And while I'm sorry for some of the technical stuff, we are still working a lot of things out. This was a lot of fun. But it's like I told Pix before we got started, I had promised the hubby that we'd be done before 3 because he wants to do his stream on Twitch, and I want him to go have fun because with the work schedule he has now, he doesn't get to do it a lot. But we will definitely do another one of these. We could have gone another hour talking about Baldur's Gate, so I think I'm going to pause that one because we know a lot of lore. So we might just do a Baldur's Gate themed and soon as well. We've got music topics coming up. We've got movie and TV show topics coming up as well. And as always, I am just so grateful for my co-host Pix. I'm grateful for the chat. Thank you so much for sitting in with us. And like I said, I'm going to go mod for Axiom Wolf on his Twitch and just chill and relax. And that's if he still wants to play. He might even be taking a nap right now. I don't know. But I definitely want to thank you all for sticking with us. I know it's a newer format. I know you're more used to me calling out a certain person, but as I said before, those days are done. It's time for fun, and just think of the AND podcast as an escape. Pix and I are going to be talking about different format things for a bit, and so Saturdays, depending on the next foreseeable future, might have to move to early Sundays before I go to my D&D group, but I'm going to talk to you a bit about that after stream on my own PC. So I'm going to let you all go. I want you to have a fun Saturday. Tomorrow is a Pokemon Go Manakey event. You might get a shiny Manakey, and it'll help you get that Annihilate. So if you don't have candies for that, be on the lookout. If you still play Pokemon Go, I do, but I'm probably going to miss the event because I'll be in D&D. So either way, y'all, have a great Saturday. Have fun. Disconnect your mind from the real world for a bit because it's not really fun out there right now. Find your fun, find your smiles, find your happiness, and we will be back next weekend. Okay, let's see. There we go. Yes, I want to.
That's why I figured, because I saw the time and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out with the playables.
Yeah.
Because that way because I knew that we weren't going to be able to get to the Baldur's Gate today, so I was like,
Yep. It's like I
do
said.
that.
I was like, I could go forever on Baldur's Gate just from the lore I know and my favorite characters. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I
know, and I was like, I can Minsk and Boo all day long.
Oh yeah, all the
day
pokes.
long.
So let me, because it is acting weird on his computer, and I'm trying very hard to see if I can even close OBS Studios normally.